Hi, Tony here. Welcome to The Cave and this review of the Beeline Moto navigation system. Now, when it comes to GPS navigation, I do like to have a map, whether it's my TomTom 550 or on my phone with apps like Waze or Scenic or Riva. I like to have a map in front of me. So when I had the opportunity to try this, I was quite intrigued because I wanted to see how I would get on with turn-by-turn navigation. The last time I used that was when I used to tape instructions to the top of my tank, and that didn't always work out well. When I was thinking about how best to show you this system in use, I thought there's no point in standing in the garage and talking through the specifications and all that sort of rubbish. So I got out on the bike and tried to get as much detail in as I could whilst I was riding. Thankfully, I was able to get at least some footage before the coronavirus shutdown here in the UK. Obviously, with restrictions on travel and unnecessary journeys, I'm not going to be going out and riding my bike now, so thankfully I have got some footage. It's not everything I needed, but it's going to be enough for this video. I hope everybody out there is doing okay and dealing with the restrictions that we've got. But if we all do our bit and try to get this thing under control, we'll all soon be back out there riding before we know it. So without further ado, let's get onto the bike and show you what this device can actually do.
Right, so let's have a little practical demonstration of the Beeline Moto. There's the app already installed. When you open it up, you've got your favorite places. You can choose to navigate. You can see your previous journeys, change your settings. So in where to, I'm going to change it to route mode. So this will calculate a route for me. I'm just going to go Andrewsford Aerodrome. That will do. So you can see it's plotted a route. If I want to change to non-route mode, then all it does is the device will point in the direction and give me a countdown in mileage, but it won't tell me what roads to use. That's handy for exploring, but we'll touch on that later on. So if I put it back into route mode, there it picked a route for me, and I'll click go, and here we go. I've got a marking there showing me where I need to go, so I can put my phone away, put my lovely gold top bobber gloves on. Bit of a little subliminal advertising there. Start up this lovely Triumph Street Scrambler, more subliminal advertising. But let's see where we go. You know, I've said before, I'm not necessarily a skeptic, that's not the right word, but I did say before I wasn't sure how I would cope with just having turn-by-turn instructions via an arrow when I'm used to using a map. Needless to say, I've coped with it pretty well, and this test is going to be kind of on my normal routes out in the country lanes. I have used the Beeline in cities and it works really well. You just have to take my word for that, though I didn't have any video footage. So as you can see, it's given me a little marker here. So you've got the arrow which points in the direction, the general direction that the road needs to go, and then you'll see there's a little dot which shows you what direction your next turning will be in. Now, one thing I have seen people say is, you know, I don't like these because you're having to look away from the road too much, and it's because that hasn't got any sound instructions, and that's the one drawback of it, and I'll get that over and done with. First of all, it doesn't have voice prompts on the directions. So I've heard people saying, well, that's no good, you're going to have to sort of continually take your eyes off the road to look at this. But you don't. You might need to do that more so with a map, or not necessarily need to, but you find yourself doing that more with a map. I don't look at this for any quicker than I would look at my speedometer. A quick glance down, because the logo is so clear in terms of what you need to do. So for example, in 0.4 of a mile, I've got a dot showing me I've got to turn left, and then I've got a little circle with a 1 in it which shows it's a roundabout and I have to take the first exit. I can look at that, pick that up straight away, look back up, you know, as much as I would be looking at the speedo to check my speed. So I don't think that argument really is valid. If it had voice prompts, it would be even better, and that may well be something that comes along in the future, but for the moment you've just got this visual prompt. But it works well, and it seems to work well in pretty much every scenario that I've tried it, to be honest. And going back to that point, you don't always have to be looking at this device in the same way that you wouldn't constantly be looking at a sat nav. It's bright sunshine here today. I've got the sun over my shoulder, but because it's this sort of grey on black, and I've set it to auto backlight as well, so if it does need that, if you go into a dark area, it will backlight, but really easy to see. So I'm not going to show you all of this journey because that's going to make this a pretty boring video, but I will jump in and out. I'll touch on some of the key elements of this. This is incredibly easy to fix to the bike. It comes with, as you see, a couple of different fixings. The elastic band strap one works really well because the device doesn't weigh anything. It's so lightweight. You're never going to have a chance of that coming off, and I've had it on here with the 2 elastic bands and it works really well. And you've got another set of smaller elastic bands if you want to put it around a mirror arm or something like that. So that works really well. You've also got the extended arm, which you can use with a sucker, so you can stick it to something and use that arm. But cleverly as well, Beeline have chosen to use a GoPro style mount. So if you've got a GoPro, it will fit onto any of your mounts. And if you haven't got a GoPro, then it's a very simple, easy system to get into, and the mounts and stuff are plentiful and are not expensive. So flexibility in terms of fitment is a real plus point for this. I occasionally have press bikes when I'm doing bike reviews and I'm switching from bike to bike, and something like this is much easier to pull off and switch onto another machine than it is to undo the RAM mount I've got on my TomTom and swap that over, or indeed a phone mount for a phone sat nav. I can keep the phone tucked away in my pocket, and I've got everything I need here. So kudos for Beeline for making that easy to move around. When it comes to routing and putting that into the phone, again, really simple. You can just use the route option and allow the app to choose a route for you. You can import a GPX file, and that's really simple. So if you find a GPX file that you like, you can just download it directly onto your phone, and then when you've downloaded that file, if you hit share, certainly on an iPhone, it works on Android as well, but on an iPhone I know how it works, and you hit the share and it gives you the ability to share it to Beeline. It just shares it to the app and the route is there, done and dusted. Really, really simple. And if you want to create your own routes, then you can just put waypoints on the map, so you can choose where you're going to go. You get that little grey line showing you what the route is. You can just click on that, drag it and move it to various waypoints, so you can custom build routes as well. And the good thing is when you've finished that route, it automatically saves it for you, and you can also share it with other users on social media platforms or whatever. In terms of the app, another point that somebody's asked and is the responsiveness. And some apps I've used on the phone certainly can be a little bit hesitant. You'll be approaching a junction and you're not entirely sure kind of when it's going to ask you to turn off, and the distances can be a little bit off. Oh, that man's going to let me go past. Thank you very much, farmer. Yeah, it's quick. There's no lagging. I've used a couple of apps where you've got a junction coming up and it tells you then your junction to turn right and you're right on top of it. This gives you plenty of warning, and I found it actually really easy to adapt to from using a normal map. So again, quick glance down, 0.1 of a mile. I know that I've got to go left. There's nowhere else I can go. It's not a confusing junction. I don't need to look at the device again. So not only is this small and light, it's also pretty tough, and it's 100% waterproof. There's also a whole host of accessories for the Beeline as well, so if you want a carry case to put it in when you take it off the bike and you're not using it, you can do that. There's various different mounts, a sort of a ram ball mount and a handlebar mount and all of those sort of bits and pieces. There is an option to buy this in various different formats. If you just want the plain black Beeline with the 2 mounts that you've seen, then you can buy that for £149. If you want it in silver or titanium, I think you've got to pay a bit extra for that. I think it's £199 for those. And then you've got various different kits that have different mounts in them, so it depending on what you want to use it for and how you're going to use it, then you've got options there for that too. I think that makes it a really good value option, because if you've got a mobile phone, okay, you can use GPS, so you can get plenty of free GPS. You know, Waze is a really good app and you can get that for free. But if you haven't got a mount to mount your phone on and worrying about powering your phone and all that sort of stuff, then you've got to spend money to get that to happen. £149. It comes with everything you need to put it on the bike. No real other messing around. To me that seems pretty good value, and I have been really impressed with it, to be honest. Again, if I want to pick a particular route, so if I go to Lee's Priory, if I turn route mode off, you can see hopefully there that I'm just getting a straight grey line, and it's going to show me when I say go. Right, I've got 4 miles to go to where I'm heading for, and the Beeline is telling me I've got 4 miles in that direction to go. So this is great if you want to do some exploring. If you're going to head to somewhere and you're not really too concerned about how you get there and you want to explore, obviously if you set a route and you go off of that route, then Beeline will reroute you with no problems. But this mode is handy if you just want to explore and get to where you need to go, and all it will do is just keep pointing in the direction that your destination is as the crow flies, and give you an idea of how far away. But that's a really nice feature as well. So there's not really a lot else I can tell you about this. It's a really simple system to use. I really like it. If you haven't got any kind of GPS system at all, or were looking to use your phone and are trying to sort out a mount, then I'd highly recommend going and having a look at this. It's a really good piece of kit. As I say, the only drawback that I can see to it is that it doesn't have voice prompts. Again, I don't know if that's something that could be introduced to that at a later stage, but to be honest, I don't really miss that either, because there's a hell of a lot of people that will use the sat-nav that don't have a comms unit or don't have Bluetooth earpieces or headphones, where the voice prompts would be pretty pointless. You could have them prompting out of that machine, but then you've got to start putting speakers and all the other bits and pieces in there to deal with that. And if you're doing that, then the price is going to go up and the device is going to have to be bigger, and then you start compromising on what it's meant to be, which is a really simple device. So for something of interest, there's a link in the top right hand corner which will go to the Beeline website. I've also put a link in the comment section down below, so if you want to go and have a look at that, you can do. So I hope you found that review useful. If there's anything that I've missed or any comments you want to make, leave that in the comment section down below. And all that leaves me to say is, until next time, take care, stay home, and I'll see you soon. Bye. For this video, I'm using a GoPro Hero 8 for this view on the front. And I've also got the Sena 10C Evo, which I've just put onto the side of the helmet. That's giving this view, but I'm not really using that view. I'm predominantly using this to record the audio.